Hey, what's up guys, welcome back to Anime King 3, and today I'm going to be giving you part 13 of What If Naruto Was Exiled from the Otsutsuki clan. Remember to get this one to 100 likes as usual, share this to all of your friends in your social media platform, and also guys, go ahead and check out the brand new episode over on Anime King 2 of What If Naruto Was Put Through Hell and Adopted by the Right Kage, and enjoy that guys. And I also posted a brand new episode over in Making of What If Naruto Became One of the Legendary 7, so go ahead and enjoy that guys. And remember, if you're new, to go ahead and click that red subscribe button and become part of the Making family. And thank you for all of your help and support, and yeah, without further ado, would you say begin this new episode start the intro. So, the last time we left off at the Hidden Rain, the girl that was going by the name E, but they seemed to call her Urza, stood there, blonde hair, purple eyes, as she looked towards her teammates that were going to be participating in the tuning exam with her. As two balls of fire appeared in her palm, they looked towards her with a scowl as she was putting them through hell, but they had to get ready, but she was rather sadistic in doing so. Just because she was stronger than them, she was not even joining up the team. But she told them it doesn't matter, they had to run, as she started to throw the fireballs after them. Meanwhile, the masked man was talking to Nagato, who asked him how sure he was that this girl could get into Konoha and get information that he wanted without being captured. As the masked man told him not to worry, she has a special ability that will allow her to gather information without worry. Meanwhile, at Konoha, as Team 7 was training, it has only been a week and a half. Naruto has helped Hinata improve her taijutsu. As the way he moved, she was trying to mimic the way he moved, and he was so graceful on his feet. She wasn't there yet, but Hinata was far from useless. She was just too afraid. On the other hand, the both boys have been trained by themselves recently, as Naruto has been spending his entire time on Hinata, given the fact that he has been training them for the entire time he has been here, and Hinata has just become a student. And they already had their training regime set, so they had nothing to worry about. As Naruto made his way to the office, as he wanted a higher rank mission for his team, as they were able to get into, well, allow them to pick a higher rank mission. Aruka was against this, but Naruto told him that it wasn't his team. They had graduated the academy and now they were under his care. He wasn't that trusting Naruto after all, this was the reason why he gave him this team. As Naruto picked a mission, where they were supposed to help out a farmer in town. Meanwhile that was going on, Snazzy found something just appeared from the sky and landed in a boom. As she realized it was a woman who was in a bad condition, she brought her towards the inn, as she helped the woman. As a medic, she couldn't just leave someone like this in this poor condition. The woman had woken up, as she asked where she was. Snazzy told her, but the woman had no idea where this place was. After all, she wasn't from here. She said that she was looking for someone, Naruto Otsutsuki. Snazzy told her that she didn't know a Naruto Otsutsuki, but she did know a Naruto Uzumaki. The woman wasn't so certain. Well, given the fact that he was exiled, perhaps he changed his name. Meanwhile, as Naruto was able to find out what the creature was that was plaguing the farmland, it was a creature known as the Zero Tail, the Ribi. As the Sky Nation descended upon the land, over the years, Shino has been gathering negative energy to power his Sky Nation and power him as well. As Naruto left his team behind, it fended off against the rest of them as they told him to believe in them, as he could handle this. And they did handle it, as Naruto placed a barrier to protect the entire village, as he went after the Sky Nation. After mercilessly beating through the shinobis, he arrived. As Shino looked towards him, Shino got all bulked up as he attacked Naruto, but he was mistaken as Naruto easily put him down. As Naruto realized the chakra coursing in his veins as he hit him with a single point. As Shino got rather old, as his body whittled down, Naruto got surrounded by all the shinobis. As he turned the Sky Nation into dust, he literally pulled it in, pulling the air out of their lungs before releasing it all. The combustion was too much and everything went boom. As the team was returning back to Konoha after the former had graciously thanked them and sent a good report back to Hiruzen, thanking them for the assistance, going far and above to help them, as they were amazed by his power. Coincidentally, they ran in with Snavi, who was heading back to the village. The woman had begged her to bring her back, and they did come back with her. As Naruto was surprised to see Snavi, but something else caught his attention, the person on his back, as Naruto was shocked to see his friend. As Urza was on Snavi's back with a smile on her face, happy to see Naruto. So yeah guys, that's basically that's what I thought. You guys can switch across the play structure for yourself. So this begins new episode. We begin this episode at an unknown location, as E had her eyes closed. Her long blonde hair was damp, soaked, as she was standing, while mostly sitting over a waterfall. She was literally floating above it. This purple aura was around her, as her body was exuding so much power. The entire air was trembling, before everything went still. The waterfall stopped running, as just the presence alone. She held up the waterfall. The crashing water overflowing had just stopped, pulling together to create a massive wave over her head, as a large shadow loomed over her, but she stood there calmly. She did not even move an inch. She then released a breath as water exploded violently. It was like a shower going in all different directions, stomping through the earth grounds, wetting the ground. She released a breath before she got on her feet, as she calmly walked off the water below her. Her body heated up, as the water instantly evaporated out of her hair, smoke leaking from her body, as she was dry. Clapping could be heard, as she turned. She had a smug smirk on her face. What do you think of that, father? I'm impressed, Katsumi. E's eyes went wide. Father, we're alone, he said to her. Can't I call you by your real name, daughter? He asks. I know, but I hope you don't slip up when you're talking to the others. Me? Slipping up? E had a lot of secrets. For one to be example, no one in the Hidden Ring knew her real name. They call her Erza. Nickname E, but that wasn't her real name. Her actual name was Katsumi. There was many things that she was hiding. Many things that she didn't tell a lot of people. Not even someone that trained her. One of her dear friends, Conan. Not even her two teammates now, who seemed to be afraid of her. Well, she preferred it that way. When they were afraid, they listened. You act like you're the only one going by a false name. Well, that's different, said Katsumi. And she looked towards her father, because Madara Uchiha was... She paused, and she did not finish that sentence. She looked up in the sky. What's wrong? He asked her. I don't know, she said. I feel something. Something what? I'm not too sure, but it's strange. It's gone now. Perhaps I'm just overusing my chakra and as a side effect, she said. What was the feeling like, he asked. A power source. One moment it was there, the next moment it was gone. I'm not sure, she said, confused. Don't worry about it. If it's something important, you'll figure it out. So, father, do you think I'm ready for June exams? He walked over as he patted her on the head. There's nothing for you to worry about. You are going to be one of the strongest there, and there will be no one that can stand in your way. It's going to be real easy for you to dominate the exams. But don't forget your real mission. Urza. Or should I say E? That's more like it, she said, with a smirk. There was no reason for her to keep her real name a secret. After all, no one really knew her. But yet she wanted it because she wanted to mimic his actions, something that he greatly appreciated because she was following in his footsteps. The more she did that, the more loyal she became. So he allowed her to pick a false name. And things were working perfectly. Everything was going good. Konoha would be crushed soon enough. For what they did, they will pay. He will be the one to change the entire elemental nation. And he will not be going by Madara's plan. Creating a world of dreams. Nagato wanted to create a weapon. All of those were idiotic. His plan was more better, he thought to himself. Meanwhile, at Konoha, Urza was currently lying on the bed, as she was unconscious. It seems like her wounds were more severe than Snelly thought. Snelly had healed the minor wounds that she could see, but Snady weren't sure what hit the girl, but she had injuries that couldn't be seen or be felt by her analysis. But Naruto was the one to notice it. When Naruto placed his hand over hers, Snady felt everything in Urza's body. It was weird. She had never examined someone on this level before. Naruto's chakra control was just beyond, out of this world. And Urza, her power was ridiculous. It was strange, shocking, yet Naruto seemed calm about it. But Snady has never felt so much power in her life before. Who the hell was this woman? They managed to take care of her injuries, but now she was still sleeping. She'd wake up soon enough. But something hit her. Something powerful, something that invaded her system. The girl was in pain this entire time, but she was really hoping to see Naruto before she passed out, because the moment she smiled at him, she had fell unconscious. Snady moved away from Naruto as she stood. She glanced towards the girl that was still sleeping. Her eyes then went up towards him. The only reason why she was here was because of that girl, and that she was in a bad state. But no, she was gonna be fine. When her eyes caught sight of him, "Stop smiling at me," she said. But his smile did not falter as he kept on looking at her. "Anyway, who gave you the right to move into the Senju compound?" she asked him. "It doesn't belong to you." He did not say anything, as he just kept on looking at her. She grumbled at his annoying smile. Most people would consider it charming, but to her it was just annoying. He then finally spoke. "Thank you for bringing her back. I didn't do it for you. I did it for her. I'll be taking my leave now." "You know you don't have to." "Don't," said Snady. "I'm still not over what you did, and I still don't forgive you." "It's alright," said Naruto. "I know the moment I left you and everyone else, there was a chance that you would never forgive me. It's just glad to see that you're here, and that you'll be willing to help someone that is in a dire situation that you don't even know. Well, that means I'm a whole lot better than you," she said, as she walked away. His smile faltered at that. Snady stepped outside, as she could barely control her hands shaking. She hated him, but he was one of the only family that she got left. Him and... She looked towards Menma, who was looking at her. Suddenly he clutched his stomach as he collapsed down to the ground. She rushed over towards him. "What's wrong?" she asked. A white chain came from Menma's wrist and wrapped around her wrist, grabbing her tight. He then picked himself up with a smile on his face. "What are you doing, brat?" she asked. "Just insurance to make sure you don't go anywhere," said Menma. Fall for my trick. It was a pretty cool trick, huh?" Snady looked towards him with a smile that had no humor in it. "Get your chain off me before I take your arm with it." "I knew that you were a bit harsh, but isn't that a bit too much?" said Menma. "Well, if you don't remove your chain, we'll see," she said. Menma sighed. "Well then, take my arm. Do whatever you want, but I won't let you leave." "What? You gonna force me to stay here?" "No," said Menma. "I know that my grandfather is your family. I know that you're my family as well." "So he told you," said Snady. "But it wasn't hard to figure out." "You know I'm pretty smart," said Menma. "I spoke to Jiraiya. I found out that he's my godfather. I don't really hate him or anything. It's just, well, he was never here. Well, I was all alone in the beginning, until I met a few people. But I forgave him for that. It's not really a problem," said Menma. "At least they're here now, right?" "What do you want from me?" said Snady. "Well, you're my family as well. I know that you hate my grandfather for reasons. Reasons that he won't tell me. I don't know why, but you know he's sad, right? So what? I'm sad as well. And yet you don't know why. Why should you feel sorry for him and not for me? I do. I can feel your pain. I guess it's one of my abilities. And your sadness is always with you. I can feel it right now. It's like a never-ending shadow that's followed you for a long time now. but my grandfather's. It's consuming him. Right now, it's at its fullest. I don't know what you said to him in there, but it's so powerful I think he might drown in it. I know that he loves me, but he loves you too. And you being away from the village is breaking his heart. Well, it doesn't matter, I'm not gonna stay here. Menma sigh. Your apprentice, Shizune. She's very happy here. Shizune enjoyed being on the road with me. Have you ever asked her that? Asked Menma. I saw her face when she came back. She was happy to take in the village. Right now she's out, looking at sights. But you're gonna take her away. It doesn't matter what you say, Brett. I'm not staying here. And Shizune is coming with me. Yeah, I know that. Don't hurt me, but I read your diary. You did what? It was a mistake. I went in your room and I found your secret spot. Snatty gripped him as she lifted him up by his shirt. Where is it? She asks. He looked down in sadness. I know I invaded your privacy. Damn right you did. You had no right, she said. Come on, I'll show you where it is, he said. She placed him back down. As he walked, she followed him. As Snatty was brought back to her old bedroom. The diary was there in the drawer, well secured by a seal that Menma released, to make sure no one else goes in it. But you already did. Did you show it to him? No. I saw what was inside. For so long you were upset that he left. I didn't know that my grandfather just vanished. You never wrote why he left though. But you were sad for days. And turned into weeks, then months, then years. Then you just stopped. Snatty narrowed her eyes at the boy. It seems like he had no idea what Naruto did in the past. Snatty had a vague information about Naruto, of who he exactly was. She didn't know all the details, but she knew that he was not from this planet. It seems that woman was not from the planet as well. She had kept that information to herself, not telling anyone, not even Orochimaru and Jiraiya, even at her lowest moments. As things like that would be rather, well, scary to know by the entire elemental nation. Knowing that other beings could come here and slaughter nations, well, that was terrifying. So she kept it to herself. She did not really know much though. But it seems that Menma didn't know anything about that. And he didn't even know that Naruto was the one that destroyed the three nations back then. Well, that was good. Hearing that someone that you love slaughter so many, even innocent, would change your picture a bit in your eyes. Menma released the chain after her. She didn't even realize that chain was still holding on to her. Are you that angry at my grandfather? He asked. Yes. Alright then. Hurt me instead. Go on. As he braced himself. Punch me and hurt me for what my grandfather did. And then everything can be started out. Do you even know who I am? She asks. Yeah. Did you even hear about my strength? She asked him. Yeah. As he braced himself. And you're willing to let me hurt you for that man who you've read in my journal who abandoned me. Yeah. I don't want to see either of you suffer. So go ahead. As he closed his eyes, he felt something coming towards him before a hand laid on his head. I won't hurt you, Brad, she said. He breathed a sigh of relief. Thank God, he said, with a smile on his face. You'd have probably pulverized me. As that made Snatty smile, but I'm still not staying. Why? I can't, she said to him. He lowered his head. Alright. I won't force you, because it would just make you more miserable. But can you at least visit sometimes? Snatty released a long sigh. I'll try. As he hugged her, she looked down towards him as she saw Nawaki for a single second. As he gave her a brilliant, charming smile. Hey, what do you want to be when you grow up? Oh, the Hokage, of course. Once again she saw Nawaki. Snatty gave him a nod. I'll be off now. Take care of yourself, she said to him. Okay, see you later, he said as he gave her a wave. As with that she made her way. She found Shizune going around the village, and she told her that she was ready. Erza, she did not even visit him. She was still pissed off at him as well. She wanted to take that boy with her, and he forbade her from doing so. She wanted someone to be there with her. Someone a part of her family. She and Shizune could have taken care of the boy, but Hirzan wanted him to stay in this village despite them being his family. And she still despised him for that. So she didn't go to visit him. Once they made their way past the gates as they were leaving the village, Shizune looked at the village. A sad look on her face. Hey, Shizune. Yeah? Do you want to go back? Well, if you're not. No, but if you'd like to visit, yes. But you know I'll always stay with you, Tsunade-sama. As Tsunade saw the look on Shizune's face, she hasn't really been paying attention to Shizune that much, as she now come to realize that the woman was missing the village. Tsunade took a deep breath as she thought about the brat. He was her family after all. And then she thought about that man. She clenched her fists. Before she released it, she then thought about that woman. She was a medic after all, and medic responsibility was to stay behind and see if your patients get recovered. Well, if you were taking the extra step. Tsunade-sama, what's wrong? We'll be staying for a while. What? To see if my patient recovers. Come on. Shizune smiled as they made their way in the village. Meanwhile, Naruto sat beside Urza in his chair as she was lying on the bed. He didn't know what happened to her, but he could tell that she was fighting. She was fighting Otsutsukis. He could not understand how that possible because it was forbidden for them to fight against each other, unless it was a challenge. The king had made that rule. There was a king of the Otsutsukis. He was the strongest of them all. He wanted the same goal like his father. He wanted to become the Otsutsuki god. That is why the Otsutsukis leave the planet and gather the fruits from the nearby planets. If they were fully functional enough to grow to their proper size, they brought it back towards their king, and he was the one that devoured it. But if they plant a seed on a planet that only bears small fruits, because lack of energy, they were the ones that took that for themselves. But they had a responsibility to give the proper fruits to the king, who wanted to become the Otsutsuki god, to surpass what he already is. They had no choice. He could demolish them. Well, if they all turn against him, or if a house pulled their power together, perhaps they could go up against him. Or if more than one joined them together, they could give him a proper fight. But they would need a lot of them to take him down. But no one ever dared challenge him, because he had proven to be ruthless more than anyone else. He slaughtered. If you question his rule, he slaughtered you. He wasn't a person that abided by his own rule. Question him, he killed you without even thinking. If you go against his wishes, or try to hide anything from him, his eyes are rather rare. He could glance anywhere in the cosmos, see what you're doing. So you couldn't hide anything from him. That is what made him so powerful, and made them fear him. Because if you tried to do something and he found out about it, he would not hesitate to put you down. But as Naruto looked towards Erza, her wounds, he did not tell Tsunade, but they were wounds from Jayukin strikes. What the Hyugas called it, but they were more defined. They were on a level that punctured far past the skin, to call it internal damage. From the damage, Erza seemed like she has been fighting for weeks now, and Naruto didn't know what the hell was going on. He had to wait until she wakes up. He really hoped it wasn't because of him, that is why. She was now banned from the clan. He really hoped that she didn't do something stupid to get herself banned, and he really hoped it wasn't because of him, that she risked everything. She prayed that wasn't the reason. He then felt something as he exited the room. He saw Shizune. Shizune, right? He said. She nodded. What are you doing here? Tsunade-sama told me to pick a room. We'll be staying here for a while. Really? Said Naruto. As Shizune nodded. Shizune blushed when she saw the smile on his face. He was quite handsome. As Naruto made his way off. Meanwhile, Tsunade had just entered her room. The door was wide open. As she stood in her room, as she looked around, that smile on her face, before she heard footsteps. So, you're staying. Tsunade turned around to face Naruto. As he gave her a smile, she walked up the door before slamming it right in his face. Before she went back to her bed and sat down. As Naruto smiled behind the door, Well, this was progress. She was staying. Time skip. The next day, Mikoto came in on the strange sight when she was told to enter by Naruto. She never expected this. She saw Naruto sitting down. There was a woman on his bed. A rather beautiful woman. Sleeping. She thought that he had a one-night hookup or something. A part of her felt, well, strange about that thought of him being with someone else. It was weird. After all, they weren't like that, they were just good friends. Well, they were more than good friends after all. They usually went out for tea and talk. He was rather good company to have. And today she was going to invite him as well to get some tea and talk. She was overjoyed when she heard that Sasuke would be on his team, as she knew that Sasuke would be well taken care of and watched over by Naruto. So she was rather surprised for her to come in after being invited and see this woman here. As Naruto saw the look on her face, "Oh, she's my friend." "Oh, okay," she said. "Something happened to her, and I'm just waiting for her to wake up so that I can find out what happened," said Naruto. As Mikoto nodded a smile, "Oh, I was wondering if you want to go out to get some, well, tea with me as usual, but I can see that your hands are full." "Yeah, sorry about that," said Naruto. "I just need to find out what happened to her first. But I would be glad to have tea with you tomorrow." "Oh, that sounds pleasant," she said, with a smile. "I will see you tomorrow then," she said to him. As Naruto nodded, and she left. As Naruto watched her leave with a smile on his face, Mikoto was a rather nice woman. Peaceful, calm. She's cute." "Yeah, she is," said Naruto, before his eyes snapped around, as Urza looked at him with a smile. As Naruto released a sigh of relief. "Although I know that you were going to be fine, I was still worried." "Well, you're always worried about me. Like a big brother for his little sister. Although technically I am older than you." "By a couple of weeks," said Naruto, as the both of them laughed. She sat up in the bed. "I guess your healer worked wonder on me, huh?" "Yes," said Naruto. "But you were damaged on a level that she couldn't even see. Those hits. You got wounded by another Otsutsuki, didn't you?" "It's bad, Naruto," she said. "What happened?" "It's Momoshiki, as I said. He's taking over." "What do you mean taking over?" "No one saw it coming. He has been gathering support from other houses, and he was able to gather enough support. They all infused him with their power, and he got enough to overthrow the king." "They what?" said Naruto. "No, that's not possible." "What about Ishida and the others?" He killed them." As Naruto looked at her with nothing but shock on his face. "He what?" "They were against him. So was I, and many of the other houses. The ones who would not subjugate to his rule. He wiped them out. And the others, they stood there. They watched all this happen because he granted their house more power for following his rule. He killed so much. He's changed the ways of the Otsutsuki." "But still," said Naruto. "He killed the king?" She nodded. "He just got too much more power. The others were infusing their power inside of him. He used that to kill the king. Now he has taken a seat, and now he's the one giving orders." "So how did you escape?" she said. "Once you were gone after a few years, I became second in command of my house. He wanted me to bear his children, so that we could mix the two lines together, to ensure that my line always followed his. But I was against it. So was many in my line, because they decided to follow his command, but they weren't gonna bow down to all of his demands. He said at first that he wouldn't be subjugating them by force. He just wanted to take over and allow the continuous regime to continue on. But once he took over, everything changed, and I had to get away. When he realized that we were not going to bow down to him, he started to kill my people. He slaughtered my entire house. I tried to fight back, but there was just too many of them. Isharu gave his life so I could escape and buy me enough time to run, but he had contacted the others on a few nearby planets, and they met me far out in the distance. We fought. We fought for a very long while, but I was gravely wounded. I landed on many planets seeking help, which I received some. Some of them were not really welcome, and I almost got killed several times. But I made it through. Until I found you. How did you know I was here? Said Naruto. She looked away bashfully. Were you following me? Said Naruto. She nodded. Since when? The entire time. I know what you did. You tried to hurt my feelings, send me away. I know that you just didn't want me to get hurt, but I didn't care. I followed you the entire time. Your sensory ability is not that powerful. I was able to hide myself. I watched you. You went around, drifting aimlessly, until you arrived on this small planet. I hid, and I watched you, keeping myself completely closed off so you couldn't sense me. I watched you for a long while until I left. When I realized that you found a home here, that you no longer wanted to be a part of the Otsutsukis anymore. You even changed your name. You were watching me for that long, said Naruto. I popped in every now and then, she said. But when I came back, everything was different. There was nothing but destruction. What happened? Did you see that I got married? You what? She said. Union, said Naruto. You union with someone? She asked. Yes. A beautiful woman. Her name was Kushina Uzumaki. She smiled. I'm happy for you, but this story don't sound like it have a good ending. She got killed, said Naruto, along with the other people that I come to consider as family. So I lost it. Let me guess. You wiped out your enemies and then you left? Yes, said Naruto. Figures, she said. You still can't control your anger, can't you? They had to pay for what they did. Well, if they took something so precious from you, they deserve it, she said. So, you okay? It's been a long time ago, said Naruto. Although, my mistakes lead to a lot of painful memories. Painful options that turn out to be reality now, that I'm still suffering with. Well, I'm here now, she said. I can help you through it like the old days. As Naruto gave her a stern look. Where is he now? No, she said, as she got out of the bed. You're not doing this. You know that he's gonna come after me, right? Why would he? He's now in charge of the Otsutsuki plant. You don't have to worry about him anymore. You don't understand. There's a reason why Momoshiki never liked me in the first place. Something that I didn't even tell you. What did you do? She asked. Just like the others. Everyone mocked me when my parents became the traitors. It was hard at first. You were there for me as best you could, but it was still hard. The constant mocking from Momoshiki was too much. Him making my life a literal hell with everyone else, seeing me as a traitor, that constant name over and over. It was getting to me. I wanted him to suffer. So I followed him. I don't know what he did, but somehow he was able to evade the king's eye. I am confused why the king didn't think of going after him himself. But when I landed on the planet that Momoshiki was on as well, the king was able to survey the planet by using me as a source. That's when he saw something through me. Momoshiki. There was a planet that he was keeping intact. There was someone there that he fell for, a woman. I didn't know about this. At first, I wanted to exterminate the planet, just to make him suffer. But I know that would do more good than bad, and you're the only reason why I didn't do it. Me? Momoshiki knows that you're the only one that I care about. You're like family to me, so if I did that, he would come after you, so I left. But the king already saw what happened. That planet was rich with energy. I was called towards his throne. He asked me, what was there? Despite already knowing, I had refused to tell him, not wanting to be the one that to give off the news. And he could not outright kill me, because you and Momoshiki was his greatest supplier, she said. Yeah, said Naruto. So he said that he was gonna kill you. Blackmail. Typical of him, she said to herself. No one really liked the man. He was more like a dictator, not someone that anyone cared about. So I had to tell him. I don't know how Momoshiki found out. Perhaps the king did this so we would push each other, or perhaps do this together more. Damn. Fruits for him. I don't know what his game was here. And from that day, Momoshiki was out to kill me, but he couldn't do that exactly. So he started to go after you. What? When did he? I deflected everything, said Naruto. I made sure to be there all the time to make sure you never fall into any of his traps. You were watching over me, she said. Yeah, said Naruto. That is why I challenged him. To get this over once and for all. But I never imagined any of my house members to abandon me. They had lost faith in me after my mother and father deserted, no longer seeing me as the rightful heir of the two houses. So I had to fight them alone. But you would have won, she said, if you didn't have to fight all of them. I knew that you were stronger back then. He didn't stand a chance if the both of you were fighting each other one-on-one. But you had to fight all of his lackeys. And not to mention, he used Kinshiki. That was not a fair fight. You didn't have anyone to support you. And my house, they wouldn't help you. Because if we had did that and we have lost, we would have been slave of his house. Yeah, said Naruto. It would be a hard fight, but he wouldn't have won. So you did this to protect me. So he's gonna come after me, said Naruto. It's gonna take him a while, but he's gonna come after me. He's gonna scour this place until he finds me. I'm sure the reason why he hasn't been here yet is because he has been planning this move ever since I left to take over. He knew that if he had tried to take it over when I was there, I would have stopped him. Because you're the only one that would have acted up against him if you heard about this atrocity, she said. The others are too afraid. And my clan was the last to know. If I had known earlier, I would have told the king. He would have exterminated Momoshiki, and this all would have been over. Damn it, she said as she clenched her fists. It's not your fault, said Naruto. He's gathering power now. He's getting stronger, she said. What if he's too strong when he comes here? And not to mention the others. They will be by his side. As Naruto stepped away. I'll handle him, he said. Are you crazy? You can't fight him alone. I don't need you getting caught up in this, and I need you to watch over certain people for me. I will help you. No, I'll take him myself. Last time you did that, you failed, and this time, he has a whole backing of supporters. More than what he had before. Do you really think that it would be easy? I haven't been taking it easy over the last couple of years. What do you mean? As the place changed, the atmosphere changed, the entire planet, the place trembled. There was no big shaking that would destroy buildings, but there was this trembling, this ominous feeling that spread through the air. It was like weights dropping on everyone's shoulder before it vanished, like he was never there. Erza looked at him shocked. How did you... I did a lot of unspeakable things while I was grieving. Things I did let me find out more about myself and what I truly am. Wait, she stepped forward. Have you become a god? Naruto shook his head. I am not the Otsutsuki god, he said. I still think that is a myth. But trust me, I can handle myself against Momoshiki. And besides, he won't let any of the others fight me. You're right, she said. If you do that, they're gonna think that he's not worthy. And you wouldn't let that happen to him. So he's gonna come after you himself. But you will be stronger than before. A lot stronger. I'll be ready, said Naruto. There's nothing for you to worry about. I'm still worried, you goof, she said to him. I know you are, because you never stop worrying, said Naruto. Well, you know me the best, she said. She collapsed back on the bed. It's been tough. Several times I thought I was gonna die. But I knew I had to make it back here to see you. I just had to. You really hurt me, you know? I knew that you were trying to push me away, but it still hurt. It was awful. I've been doing that a lot lately. Guess I'm a terrible person. You are, she said. We all are. We've done things in the past that would make people run away from us in fright. We're monsters. But it's just a matter of not showing that monster every now and then. Keeping it at bay, which I see that you have perfect control over. Usually, you lack the control to hold on to your emotions. I'm glad that you've learned, grown, and you're no longer a dumbass. You know, It's been a long while since someone called me a dumbass, said Naruto. Well, you'll always be a dumbass to me, she said to him. She took a breath. I'm still gonna help you in any way I can, you know that, right? I wouldn't put it past you, said Naruto. Are you okay? Said Naruto. I mean, you did lost your house. They weren't really good people, you know that as well. It's strange. The other plans that I went on, we weren't there to call it the fruit, but I met people. And, well, I saw things. People in love. And it was just so different. People helping each other out of the kindness of their heart. And we were cold to each other. Back in our plant. You know, if a host member deemed you as weak, they would just leave you to die. Because you're pathetic, they can't outright kill you, but they would let you die. So about that rule, said Naruto, he disbanded. He doesn't matter who he kills or who kills who. As long as no one threatens leadership. I really hope you're ready when he comes. I want you to wipe that smug smirk off his face. If you win, will you take over? She asks. Would you become the next king? I don't know, said Naruto. I have a life here now. People that I care about. Yeah, but you can't just leave them to their own devices. You know that without a rule, they tend to go chaotic. And it's gonna cause a lot more problem than you think. Guess I just have to think about it, said Naruto. That you do, she said. So, what else have you been up to? That girl, you dating her? No, she's just my friend. Well, she seemed to like you. You didn't even meet her. How do you know? I was always a better reader of people than you. So please don't question me, she said. You know, you've gotten a lot more arrogant, said Naruto. As she got to her feet and stretched. I need a change of clothing, she said. She looked at him and then she blinked. Oh yeah, right. You wouldn't know what to get me. Oh, call back your friend, I'll ask her. She seemed to be a woman with style. Once again, how do you know that, said Naruto. Don't question my methods. I'm just that smart, she said. As Naruto sighed, I think I have someone else that can help you. Time skip. As she looked in the mirror at herself, as she was wearing a bright green yukata with an obi around the waist. Her hair was tied up in a bun. It looks perfect, she said, as she twirled around in it. She had a smile on her face. It fits you quite well, said Shizune. As Shizune looked at this girl, she was, well, she didn't have any problem in stripping in front of her or Naruto. Naruto was standing near the wall, and she just stripped down. At least she was wearing underwear. And Shizune wondered if the both of them were... As Erza noticed a look. What? Wondering if we're dating, she said, as she picked up one of Shizune's lipstick. Oh, I didn't... There's no problem there. You're wondering why he's allowed to see my underwear. Well, we are best friends. It's nothing romantic. It's just good friendship. Besides, she doesn't look decent anyway, said Naruto, as a white ball smashed into his stomach and knocked him right through the wall. Shizune blinked in shock. As she looked at Urza, the white ball returned back to her and just floated in her skin, and it was gone. Oh, sorry about that, Urza said. As she raised her hand, 3 white balls came from her palm and floated over towards the wall. She watched as Thing, Chakra emerged from them and pick up all the pieces before they fixed them back. There was a bright light, like some sort of glue that glued them back together. As Naruto walked to the door, still as bitchy as ever, he said. She threw another ball as he caught it. As she threw another one, he caught it. Don't you dare, said Naruto, as she slammed one of them right in his stomach and burst him right through the door. You think he would learn his manners by now, said Erza. Shizune laughed nervously. As Naruto came back, the door in his hand that was still broken off. You know, if you hadn't just put on a new dress, I would have thrown you through that window, right? Yes, but you wouldn't dare mess up this dress that I've just gotten from my new friend. May I call you that? She said, looking towards Shizune. Shizune simply nodded as she looked towards their playful banter. They were weird. What the hell is going on? Said a voice as Natty came in the room. As she stepped from Naruto, Urza noticed the slight tension. She was trying her best to hide it, but it was there. Ah, it's you. Urza walked over as she took Sneddy's hand, both of them. I want to offer my greatest thanks for helping me. There aren't many people like you that would just go around helping the unknown, and where I came from. It is more, well, less than you might think. So thank you. And she gave her a bow. It's quite fine, said Sneddy. No need to be so formal. Urza leaned forward and kissed Sneddy in the forehead. Thank you, she said. Sneddy blinked at that action before she patted Sneddy in the cheek. Thank you again, she said, as she turned back towards the mirror as she started to examine herself. She's weird, said Naruto. Who asked you, said Sneddy. Yeah, who asked you, said Urza. Naruto raised his hand in defense. I was just, no one asked you, said Sneddy. Yeah, get out, said Erza. As Naruto lowered his head, he simply walked away. Wasn't that a bit harsh? Actually, meh, he get over it. But you were seriously angry at him. As she looked towards Sneddy, well, he pissed me off. Well, I can't allow that. What do you mean? Well, he's my best friend. And I like you. And I don't want to see both of you fight for some reason. You don't even know me, said Sneddy. Erza walked over. Well, let's get to know each other, she said, as she patted Sneddy on the shoulder, before she looked down towards her chest. You have rather large breasts. Sneddy blinked, as Erza was a bit too close. That is not really appropriate. Yes, I know, but I must say, they're rather huge. As Shizune couldn't help but laugh. This girl was weird till it was funny. Meanwhile, Naruto found himself in the tower as the envoy had come by. Sneddy was pissed at him, and Urza wasn't helping it, so he decided to make his way. So, what is it? Said Naruto as he stood in front of Urza. I heard that you brought a guest back to the village, and you have yet to give me the mission report. Hinata doesn't know all that you did. Did she speak without stuttering? She was quite formal, but she stuttered a few times. I see. You want her to learn how to talk to people with higher authority than her, to see how she'd react. She was rather nervous and surprised that I would send her. But she told me that she got the job done. Did she do well? Well, considering that it was her first. Yes. A bit, well, stuttering, but quite fine. Well, it's all about boosting her confidence, said Naruto. Those Hyugas have pushed her down so much. She barely even have any left. But I'm gonna return it back to normal. I'm sure that Sasuke and Menma will be a good boost on that as well. As Naruto looked through the window as it was an explosion far off. As Hiruzen looked back at him. It's the boys they're training, said Naruto. Huh, a bit excessive, wouldn't you say, said Hiruzen. You said that you want them to be strong, said Naruto. What do you expect? Well, I can't complain about that. So, before I asked about your overnight visitor, Hinata told me that you were up against the Sky Nation, and that you destroyed them. Well, I could sense the corruption in all of their members. They were using a dark source of chakra that had invaded their system, and it wouldn't be able to filter out like that. So I wiped them out, said Naruto. You know that qualified the mission for a S rank, said Hiruzen. Well, pay the kids. It will be good for them to have more spending money in their pockets, said Naruto. Although, the three of them is well financially stable off. Hiruzen looked towards Naruto. Sneddy is now back to the village. Did she tell you how long she's staying for? I'm not sure, said Naruto. You know that she's gonna be going through her clan finances, and realized that you had taken over it, right? Well, I am a part of her clan in some ways, said Naruto. Yes, and that's the reason why I gave you control over it, because it belonged to the Senju clan. But she's more of an owner than you, and she's gonna be angry. I prefer she's angry and yelling than ignoring me, said Naruto. Yeah, you and I both heard and said. She hasn't visited you, said Naruto. Not at all. She wouldn't even look this way. She's still angry that I wouldn't allow her to date Menma. I just pray that we can come to some sort of agreement to actually talk to each other. I'll talk to her for you. What makes you think that she would listen? She isn't even talking to you, said Hiruzen. Well, I really hope that she would. And I want you to be friends with her once again, because if you are, perhaps you can convince her to stay here. I would like her to stay here then. Going around the elemental nation drinking. You and I both here instead. Meanwhile, at the Otsutsuki planet, in a rather dark chair, looked like a throne, sat the king of the Otsutsukis, Momoshiki. As someone came in and bowed. Rise nearer, he said. Have you located that woman? Unfortunately, sir, she has escaped us once again. Momoshiki clenched his fists. I bet she's trying to find that Exiled one. But sir, he has been exiled for a long time now. How would she find him? I'm not sure. But I want you to scour the entire place until you track them down. And if you do find the Exiled one, report back to me immediately. What will you do to him, sir? Well, the laws are different now. I want him to come back. You'd invite him to the clan? I said I want him to come back. I never said that you'd be welcome to the clan. I have other plans for him. Momoshiki laughed darkly. He had other plans indeed. But guys, me and subs right here. If you want the next person to do, like, subscribe, comment down below, and turn on that bell notification to stay posted. But I'm off now. See you guys soon. Peace.